Welcome to the No Name Brand Podcast. My name is Sashka Hanarappel, actress, singer, dancer, turned brand marketing, sales, and advertising strategist who brands your soul. And each week I bring you an inspiring person or message to help you discover your underdog. Turn up your leadership notches, challenge the status quo, because you're fast and furious with a powerful message to share with the world. Thank you for taking time out with me today, and without further ado, let's get our creative and wisdom juices flowing. It's that time of the week again, my lovelies. Welcome back. So good to have you here, folks. I am loving your feedback all over the place, be it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, or LinkedIn. Keep those good vibes coming in. So you all know that Sashka here is a creative. And if you're listening, you're probably a creative too. Not to mention brilliant. And the thing with creatives is that we have a lot of ideas, like a gazillion of them. And often reining in all those ideas can be tiresome and overwhelming, especially if you're an entrepreneur who's earning their money from being creative. Now, our next guest is also a creative. In fact, one of her favorite animation characters, and I hope I pronounce his name right, is John, the Martian guy from Justice League. Because on a superficial level, he seems odd with the non-human features, but his abilities are vast and extraordinary. And that's how our next guest sees her world, coming together with different superpowers to eradicate evil and restore balance. Her deepest passion is serving a population of people whose survival depends on their first interaction with the healthcare system. Say what? And one way is by empowering brilliant people like you and me to change the way we see problems, adopt an entrepreneurial mindset, and use our finances to redesign our world. Pretty simple and doable, right? Our next guest is a mover and shaker, and she's here to share her vision and purpose with us. So please put a warm round of good vibrations together, and let's welcome the one, the only, Margaret Olat, or the full version, Olatunbosun. Hello, Margaret.
Clap, clap. Oh my God, that was amazing. I don't know how you do that, but I would have to top your performance. That's going to be hard, but I have to do something.
Thank you for that compliment. That's awesome. Oh man, it's so lovely to meet you screen to screen because I can't see you face to face. Where are you in the world?
I am in Minnesota, USA.
Cool bananas. 7 a.m. almost where she is right now. And it's like afternoon by me. So we're setting in new habits. Wake up early. Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, so let's dive in. So I would first love for you to share with us. Who is Margaret Olatunbosun?
Awesome. So I am a writer and a creative coach, and I help high achievers and other creatives thrive on the intersection of creativity, passion, and profit. One of the ways that I choose to do this is by helping them uncover genius ideas, identify what to sell, and designing their offers with them. So a lot of my clients come to me when they want to go deeper, not wider. They want to offer deeper experiences to their clients, and they want me to design that experience with them and what it should look like and how they can use that experience to really tap into their most significant why. Because a lot of times what we are trained to do is to thrive in our task zone, our talent zone, but we're not really going into our purpose. So my job is to really make all of that converge at a very nice intersection and help them monetize whatever it is they're doing, what they're proficient at, and what their purpose is. So that's me in a nutshell.
I love that. And what do you mean by deeper and wider? Maybe you can go a little bit more in depth with more in depth with that and a wide with it.
So absolutely. What I see a lot is that we are being called to do not purpose-wise, but in the entrepreneurial space, we are being called to do what everybody thinks we can do. We hear a lot of stuff like, just do what you can do. What are you good at? What do people come to you for? What do you get paid to do? So there is a lot of talk about that, but there's not a lot of what is your deepest yearning? What is your spirit saying to you? What is your soul saying to you? What are you called to do? Who are you called to serve? And how do you want to serve these people? How do you want to make change? Not a lot of people are balancing that out with what they know how to do. So you see a lot of people doing social media and maybe doing a lot of like going into the nitty-gritty of marketing, advanced marketing funnels and all that. But that's not what their soul is. That's not what they enjoy doing. So they're miserable. And at the end of the day, they're pivoting and then going into other areas, and which is totally fine because now they're being more intuitive and listening to what they're being called to do. So that's my job. My job is to take them to places where they can comfortably, and comfort doesn't necessarily mean that the decision comes easy. I think comfort means bravery, in my opinion. So my job is to take them to that place where they can say, okay, who is this woman that I don't want to be anymore? Or who is this person that I want to start being? So instead of this is what I can do, it now becomes this is who I want to become. That's what I mean by taking them deeper, not wider.
I love that. So when did you have this epiphany where you decided for yourself, you know what, Margaret, we are now going deeper and we're not going wider anymore, or not as much. We're going to put the focus on deeper and decide this is who Margaret needs to be known for. When was that moment, and where were you before, and how did you move forward out of that comfort zone, which is not a place of easiness?
Okay, so this is a very good question. I think for me, I've always been a gatherer. And when I say a gatherer, I mean gatherer of information and resources and all that. And after a while, I just started noticing that I'm becoming overwhelmed by all the things that I know because I'm being pulled in so many different directions, and bonuses upon bonuses and this and that and copywriting. I started blogging. I started writing 7 years ago. And through the course of my writing career, I have noticed that we are wired to want to know things, to want to improve upon things. And unfortunately, that also means that we get shiny object syndrome. So I had my fair share of that a lot of times. And if I learn how to do something in the next couple of weeks, I want to offer that to my community. Or if I meet someone who's offering something that I don't know how to do, I forget that I introduced something to them last week and I want them to jump on that the following week. So after a while, I just had my phase of burnout. And the most recent one was last year, where I quit copywriting because I really didn't want to tell people this is how you should write your headline and this is how you should arrange what you want to sell so it sounds good. But really, I want to tell people, are you comfortable with what you're selling? When you market yourself, so to speak, do you feel like you are resistant to sharing your story? Because after a while, I noticed that being all those things that I am not deep down in my soul, I didn't want to show up to my community because it wasn't who I was. That's when I decided to go deeper, not wider, so that I can be comfortable with the woman I am becoming and not keep her stuck in the identities of what I'm trying to do when my soul is trying to change. So that's how I decided to go deeper and not wider.
I love that. And what do you want to be known for?
Good questions. I want to be known for someone who encourages others to do things that light them up. So creative freedom is all about listening to that instinct. And we all have this instinct. And sometimes we have quietened this voice by listening to, don't get me wrong, there is a place for marketing. I love marketing. I really do. But I also believe that there needs to be a balance. There needs to be an alignment. So I am the person who's going to be in your face and say, what is your soul telling you to do? What are you called to do? What are you put on earth for? So my job is to be that voice who says, do not forget to dream. And when you decide to dream, please come out and make sure you change the world while you're doing it. Yeah. So that's what I want to be known for.
Your dream as a kid was to be a model and to be an actress.
Oh, and don't remind me.
But that's wonderful because it holds a lot of secrets in there. I mentioned that in my book, that our dreams are stumbling blocks in life. Yes. And we always come back to them. So when you're in this place of gathering all these people and then deciding, I'm going to go this direction or I'm going to go that direction, when you started seeing ideas forming, how did you put everything then together for yourself when you went, okay, well, that's not going to work, and share with us why things didn't work for that dream, and then how you moved on into the area where you are now? What was the comfort zone for you that you were stepping out of?
Okay. Yes, you mentioned my childhood dream, which was to be a model and an actress.
She's beautiful, people. She's beautiful.
Oh,
You should see her.
that,
Nowadays,
that dream died a long time ago.
we should revive it.
When I stopped growing at 5'2.5". So I was like, okay, so now we're not going to be a model. We're not going to be an actress. So what do? I still kind of want to be in the industry. So right out of high school, I said I was going to be a journalist. I was a mass communication student, journalism student, and I loved doing interviews. But then I grew up and I realized that I was an introvert. And I was not comfortable at all with being on camera. I was not comfortable with meeting people. I just sort of grew up. I had a very weird teenage phase. Like people were concerned for me because they thought I was sick or something. And I didn't know what was going on at that time. I was growing up in Nigeria. If all of a sudden you change from being a bubbly person to being someone who wants your solitude, there is a lot of people wanting to dig into your spiritual psyche, what's changing you, what's going on with you, we need to fix you.
Get the medicine man, get him in here. What's the medicine man called in Nigeria?
A lot of things. There is a doctor, or there is a father or a mother or somebody who is in a very high position who does spiritual stuff. I come from a Christian background, so a lot of it was, let's go to church, let's see the pastor. So
rebuke that devil. Out.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. So it was just like, I thought there was something wrong with me. I didn't want to be a journalist. I didn't want to be on TV. I didn't want to be in places of visibility. But my soul still wanted to connect with people. So I did what I knew how to do best. I said, what's my next best thing? So I studied languages. I came to the United States in 2007. And people were like, you can't do that here. You can't be a journalist because everybody has to be a nurse because you're not white, you're black. A lot of black people do become nurses and they're very good at it. Well, I said, give me a reason why I shouldn't be a journalist or I shouldn't be a writer. And he just said, a lot of black people just simply become nurses. So I said, that's very interesting. So I went off, I did my own thing. I studied East Asian studies for a year. I studied Mandarin Chinese, become quite conversational at it until I decided I wasn't brave enough to speak with people. I still wanted to be an introvert, yet I couldn't shake off this feeling that I was supposed to connect with people. So I started writing in 2011, I believe. I wrote about everything. I had an audience. I had 300 plus people on my list, which I didn't know I should start at that time. But I didn't do it. I didn't do it on a professional level. Let me call myself a writer because I believe that I can do this. I went off to college and did something else. I became a gerontologist. I studied health services administration, and I went back to school to study nursing. Yes, I eventually studied nursing. But throughout my college years, throughout the last 7 years, I found out that I've always gone back to writing. And I've always connected with people on the internet. I've always connected with people one-on-one. And I love hearing about people's dreams and how they intend to change our communities. So it just ding, 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 ding. It came back to me. It came back to me because people said, Margaret, why don't you start writing? Margaret, why don't you do this? Margaret, why don't you do that? And then this fed into me trying to be so many things because I was good at it. First, I became a church leadership specialist because I didn't like how church was done. And I didn't like how I wanted to fix it. But then I realized that I love talking about this, but I really don't want to make money from doing this. I would totally want to go under my covers if you ask me to give a workshop or whatever. But I can rant about things that I don't like in the church. So this is not for me. So I quit that. And later on, I became a career strategist. I was helping ambitious college graduates get started in the careers of their dreams and positioning them online as experts. Because why not? Because I did it. Because I'm writing online. And then I later realized that I really don't want to look at resumes all day. I can literally talk about this, I can rant about that, but this is not what I want my life to look like. So I became a copywriter because why not? I can tell you how to position yourself for that job. Why not tell you how to position your offers to your client? And then later I realized that, I'm getting sucked into this marketing thing. I'm worrying more about cost per clicks and this and that that I feel myself slowly slipping away from the humane side of marketing, getting to know people, like the passion for connecting with people. I felt that I was moving away from it. So that's how I came back to connecting with people, really taking people deeper, not wider, and saying, hey, if you're not in that lane, if you're not really serving people, you're not really in touch with your purpose in that lane, let's help you switch over to this lane. So that's my story, and that's why I'm doing this.
That's so cool. And it's not something that widely accepted, that leading with purpose over profit. But shouldn't I be focusing on my products first? And you're like, no, because people actually buy from people. So they actually want to buy the person, and it's irrespective of what you're selling, as long as it supports a need and a desire and a want. So how have your clients, like when you first started getting clients in, how did they respond to, oh my God, this is so different. Like, I don't need to focus first on that. I can actually do me first. Like, so often we put ourselves on the back seat. So how did they respond to that? And how did that boost your ego a little bit? Because it's like, yes.
I love this question. I love this question because it just makes me so happy that I have to talk about this. And what's this? This is the fact that we don't spend time alone. And when I say alone, it doesn't mean me being in my room and, okay, I'm just alone in my room. I mean alone in our thoughts and really try to think. The first time I did this, it was weird because it was so quiet. And I'm like, I am not used to it.
Look, I know I'm an introvert, but this is like pushing the boundaries, okay?
Yes,
Hello?
exactly. Hello? Oh my God, it's so quiet. My mind just wanted to do stuff. Like, I want to start thinking about stuff. Like, you know how people say, oh, I am just in the zone. We don't spend a lot of time outside the zone. So when I work with people, they are surprised that I don't tell them to do stuff right away. They're surprised that I tell them to answer questions that they didn't think they were going to answer when we first do. You have that questionnaire to make sure people are a good fit, and they think that's all. No, that's not it. I make people answer questions that you otherwise would not consider. And questions like, are you happy doing this?
Good question.
Yes, are you happy doing this? The first reaction is, of course I'm happy. Why wouldn't I be? I mean, I'm paying you to help me with this. And at the end of the day, I go, when you wake up in the morning and you yawn and you stretch your limbs and you get out of bed, are you happy to share the story and a random person you see or you come across? Do you feel that when you open your mouth, do you feel that you are encountering some kind of resistance to sharing your story? Because the start of marketing is for you to have a brand story. You have a story. Why are you doing this? Who do you want to help? And how do you do this? Blah, 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 blah. All that kind of stuff. And I can totally see in their faces if they're happy. Because when you talk about something that you love doing so much, it just lights you up. It is very infectious. And this is when I see when people falter and then they go, I've been sort of like good at it. A lot of people tell me that I'm good at it. And well, are you happy doing this? Do you see yourself doing this? If I told you that I would take you to a very uncomfortable place and you have to not convince me, because we shouldn't convince people, but we should let our gifts shine. That you should really shine your light in this type of environment. Would you be able to do it? If I take your proficiencies away from you, what do you find yourself going back to? So when I do that and I see people, oh, that's very interesting. That's very new. I never thought about it this way. And I say, okay, now we're starting to work. Now we're talking. So let's forget about the things that you knew how to do. There's a place for that. I'm not saying you shouldn't offer what you're offering, but I want you to really step into alignment. And that's the first thing that we work on when we work together. And so you find out that people who like to write, maybe are not, first of all, writers, maybe they're activists. Exactly. Yeah. That's where I'm coming to. And they never would have known that if they didn't really take the time to sit down and be quiet and listen and really answer questions that no one has asked them before. Yeah. So that's the kind of results I've been able to get from my clients. And the first reaction would be, why are you not telling it as strategist? Then after a while, they go, I never realized that I could do this, that I've been doing this all along, but I have not really paid attention.
Oh, see, I love that. I love that. I'm going to have this trademarked. Reverse thinking is that you bring people to, my mom always used to use it on me, but it was more like reverse psychology. Like she'd do things like, And then you'd be like, was that reverse psychology? Did you just screw up with my mind right now? But so I'm like, don't do the psychology, but the thinking. Yeah, instead of putting the marketing in the foreground, where it's like push, 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 push in this masculine energy, not meaning a man, for woman, just the masculine energy. You're putting it in the background where you're going, this idea that I have and this genius that I am, like you're saying, because you're brilliant, and bringing that creativity forward, that birthing, that feminine energy. And then the doing is just kind of like what you're going to be using, what you're going to do when the comes over there. I've got a song in my mind. I'm terrible. I'm a visual thinker. So when I talk, I see everything visual.
It's okay.
So once you start moving forward with this feminine energy, the products, the marketing is in creating that enthusiasm instead of boredom. It's like trudge, trudge, trudge. Oh no, I don't really want to do this. I love that. I love that. Love that. Why do you feel that now is a great time to launch your dream as a creative entrepreneur?
Perfect. To answer that question, number one, a superficial answer would just be, it's a good time to launch your dreams as an entrepreneur. Because why not? Because why not? Because everybody tells you to do that. I'm kidding.
No, I love that, yeah.
I'm kidding. No, I have noticed that there is a greater sense of unfulfillment. There is a greater sense of, I love doing this. All of a sudden, I don't want to do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. Or I used to be very excited when I started. It's sort of like faded away, and I'm not sure I'm called to do this. And I'm like, brilliant. That's fine. That's just a call to go deeper, to diagnose. Why do you feel that way? Yeah. Because there is no better moment to figure out what's going wrong than when you're feeling that something's not right. You know, if you're not feeling good, you go to the hospital, you want them to figure out what's going on, right?
So true.
Exactly. So I've discovered that a lot of people are not fulfilled in their day jobs, evening jobs, night jobs, whatever. And my initial response is good. But my second step is why. And then the next step is to say, what do you feel called to do? What's on your heart? What are you itching to create? I tell people to do this. And you just hold up your fingers and just kind of wiggle them like this. It's sort of like when I see my mom in the kitchen and she's trying to make a dish. And she does this dramatic theatric. And she just holds up her fingers and she goes, oh, and she goes like this. And then when I see her do that, and I'm like, oh my God, something good is going to come out of that baking pan. Because I can tell she's so enthusiastic about whatever it is that she's thinking about. She hasn't seen it, but her fingers are just like ready to like do something. So I tell people to do that, like, okay, what are you feeling like you want to do right now? At your desk, at your job, if you're teaching, if you're holding a pen or something, just go like this, and just wiggle your fingers and go, oh, okay, I can just feel myself doing. So what are you doing at that moment? If you feel like, I am so bored right now. So flip that switch and say, I am doing this right now. Or this is what I could be doing, even if it's so far-fetched. So someone who calls herself a blogger, who's not fulfilled doing the blogging, could go, oh, I just see myself like protesting or something. And I just tell people to hold on to that thought. Because as random as we think it is, it's not random.
Yep.
We might have to sort them out later on. We might have to like filter them and stuff like that. But don't let that go. So I make people pay attention to those moments because it's raw. It's honest.
Yeah.
And I work with them from there.
I love that. So taking those ideas and the genius within them and then basically creating a plan of action, like implementing. It's the feminine energy creates something. The masculine is then the doing, like implementing it and then birthing whatever that is. Yes, people.
Yes. Welcome to the world.
Yeah, welcome to the world. Oh, man. Margaret, we're coming near the end, but I have 3 more questions. 2 questions I ask all my guests at the end. One of the questions I want to ask you is, we don't connect with each other through our pretend perfection. We connect over our shared struggle. Be brave enough to go first. Paul Angoni. Share with us why this quote is your favorite and why it has such an impact on you. It's beautiful.
I love this quote. Seriously. I believe that the start of every movement is all due to somebody being brave and saying, me too.
Yeah.
And this is not just because of the Me Too movement. I know it's corny, but really, if we sit down and really think about it, It's because someone is saying, this is what I see, this is what is happening. And then other people are coming out and saying, I agree with you. I accept that because this is what happened to me. And you have people building on that and you get engagement. Think about all the viral stories in our society these days. Think about how people go viral. Think about how brands just explode all over social media. We do not connect through perfection. That's basically what it is. People don't want to see you being all nice and cleaned up. They want to see a little bit of dirt. I always go back to this, but I know it's weird. My mom cooking in the kitchen. When I first saw my mom in the kitchen, I didn't see my mom as someone on a magazine cover. I saw someone who had dirt all over the place. In my mind as a young girl, I wanted to get that flour, that stuff all over myself as well. I thought it was fun that she looked fabulously nasty.
Nasty.
I hope she's not going to listen to this.
I hope she does, because she's inspired you with so much creativity. It's beautiful.
I was like, Margaret, you think I am fabulously nasty, huh? She's going to give me a mouthful of earfuls. But it's true. I just connected with her because I thought she's having fun because she doesn't look perfect. Because, I can get that stuff all over my hands and we'll be laughing together. Now I digressed, but I just wanted to point out that when we are brave enough to come out and share our struggles, it makes people brave enough to do the same thing. And they come out and they have permission to shine despite their flaws and imperfections. And that's the way we create connection.
I love that. That is so amazing. So tell me, how do you want to change the world or challenge the world doing what you do?
Brilliant. I always go back to this. I love your questions. They make me think so deep.
That's my mission and purpose in life.
So I'm going to go back to my manifesto and I'm going to just pick one of the sentences out. And it's, we have the right to creative freedom, to do the things that light us up. That's it. So my mission, my job is to really help you zone into a space, go into a space where you can do the things that light you up and get paid to do it. In a nutshell, and get paid to do it. Because when you do that, then we can collectively create the wealth that we need to redesign our world. And you have the power to sponsor or initiate movements that will bring about change in our society. But it doesn't happen unless you are able to really tap into that creative light inside of you and give yourself permission to do the things that light you up. So that's my job.
God, I love that. That is beautiful. Beautiful. Yes, people. You don't need permission. You have the permission. You are permission. Yes. Love that.
You have me giggling like a little girl.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
So I'd love for you to fill in the blanks on 3 of my core values. So creativity for you is?
Freedom.
Wisdom for you is?
Vision.
Passion for you is?
Love.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you so much, Margaret, for being with us here today on the No Name Brand podcast. Thank you
so much for having me.
Oh, man. You can find out more about Margaret on Margaret Olat. It's reduced. It's not the whole name, .com. It'll be in the show notes. You can find her favorite book, her favorite quote, where she's on social media, and just hook up with her. Get to know her and be inspired. You don't need to ask for permission. You are the permission. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being with us here today. Keep shining your light and keep helping all those brilliant creative geniuses step into their power and into their creativity to birth awesomeness and to be fabulously nasty. I love that.
Oh my God, thank you so much.
Awesome. Have an awesome day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Dang, that was just supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I enjoyed having you on board, and please do me and you a favor. Head on over to iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. Click subscribe, and a super bonus, leave your review and you stand a chance of being announced and advertised on the show. I'm always striving to ensure that your brand is uplifted and empowered. Remember, done is better than perfect. So be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and send in your feedback too. You're the absolute best. Keep rocking.